Hey everyone, my name is Mike Vaughn. I'm a writer, I'm a author, and you know what? I'm all around. I just love pop culture, news, topics, all that good stuff. And welcome to Pop News, where we are talking Oscar news. But of course, I have Jeff Ewing here. I love him. We've been friends for God, how long?
3 years at least.
It feels longer than that
It does
because
feel longer than that. So
and like if y'all don't know, like Jeff knows like everything and anything like monster, like movie related, like you've written for so many awesome outlets and yeah, so like to say you're like an insider is like no duh. So um and yeah, like as you can see from his background, like literally his background, you have the thing in there. Love that. Your amazing Godzilla box set back there.
mm.
So, are you excited that Godzilla minus one got at least one Oscar nom?
Now, absolutely. You can kind of see behind me that with the box set, I was lucky enough to get to go to the LA premiere. I talked my way into that
Mm.
because there was literally no way I was going to break into the building if I had to. I love it.
Stop.
I would stomp in. Yeah, I think it deserves at least a best international feature nom. But that's just me. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. Yeah, it was awesome. Did you get a chance to see it yet?
I have not seen it yet. That is one of the movies that I was supposed to be really good, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe Draft House does it on the big screen again because I would love like I feel like that's like the only way to see it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Hook or Crook, I definitely want to see that. So we got the Oscar noms the other day, and obviously the big goop and gag is Margot Robbie not being nominated for Best Actress, but other people in Barbie being nominated. But also Greta Gerwig did not. Well, so I'm sure you know this, but it's extremely for y'all that don't know this. It is extremely rare to get a Best Picture nomination without in tandem getting a Best Director. It has happened before. I believe it happened kind of recently, not that long ago, but it is rare and it is shitty. I but before we kind of get like really into the weeds, like what are your kind of initial impressions on the nominees? Were there anything you were surprised by?
Yeah, I was surprised to see Leo not nominated for Killers. I really connected with that movie. It's a tough watch, but I really like it. Um, I think I was a little bit surprised that Greta Gerwig was not nominated for Best Director. It's kind of weird because she and Margot Robbie still are in effect nominated for something because Margot Robbie is
Yeah,
one of the producers. I'm so sorry. So therefore the Best Picture nomination, she'll be on stage if they win. Um, and then Greta Gerwig co-wrote the script, which I would have liked to have seen Greta Gerwig be one of the Best Director nominees. I connected more with her work in Barbie than, even though it's a wonderful movie. Uh, well, there's a couple Best Directors that I would, maybe rather senior swap in for.
yeah,
But in general, though, the way I try and look at it, unless there's a huge travesty, is that it's the sad side effect of them having expanded Best Picture nominees to 10, but not expanding Best Director beyond five at all.
yeah,
Half of the directors, you're right, there is a definite advantage there in a sense, and it kind of also says how they prioritize their rankings. But it's also, there's a 10 really wonderful movies. It's not like a Green Book situation this year,
yeah.
fortunately, where I feel like there's a nominee that literally isn't even top 25. Um, all these films, I have my own personal biases and rankings, but they're wonderful films, and unfortunately, five of them are not going to get the best director
Yeah.
nomination. Though it is a little weird to be like, this is one of the best films of the year. The person that kind of put all the artistic factors together, though,
Yeah.
doesn't make the cut.
I just think that's so wild, and I would love to know like kind of what the thought process behind that is, because again, it is rare, it's rare, but like I said, it does happen, but it doesn't happen very often. And again, I'm blanking on it, but I felt like in the last couple years that's been the case, because that's kind of when I learned that like it's actually super rare when you don't have a best picture and director. I think I think that might have even happened to Spielberg. I think he maybe it was E.T. that got best picture but not best director that year.
Let's
Um
see.
yeah, I was gonna say I can look that up. There's like, yeah, it was, but I don't know. Let me now I need to look. But yeah, I think the smart money is um like Oppenheimer is gonna sweep.
I
Uh
that seems to be where the momentum is.
yeah.
And the folks at home, you might have seen me just accidentally roll my eyes. I actually like Oppenheimer quite a bit, but it's probably not my top five if I were going to
it
weigh my top
it's
five.
not, not mine either, but like everybody seems to love it. So now I did look it up. It says at only six films have been awarded. Well, this has been awarded, not nominated, mind you, but there's only six films that have been awarded Best Picture without receiving a Best Director nomination. Um, so it is not very common. Um, and that sucks because I guess I guess I would understand it more if it wasn't nominated for a lot of things like big, you know, awards. I mean, Gosling is
Mm,
nominated. I'm so sorry, I'm blanking on her name, but she was amazing in it, but she got a best
America
supporting.
Ferrera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she got a best sporting. Um, and like her monologue about it being impossible to be a woman is like a fucking amazing. I think she should just. I mean, she's great in that, but like that monologue, I feel like, yeah, like that pushed it over the edge to like give her all the awards in perpetuity, like just forever. um,
I am a Lily Gladstone stan because
mm.
I think she's a. Have you seen Killers of the Flower Moon?
I have not, and I know that's another big one that I have not seen yet. It just seems so long, and I know I need to get into it.
Well, I'll say this. Her, I do think there are legitimate criticisms that I have heard um, from various people that would have liked to see it more centered around her character. I agree that more Lily Gladstone's always a good thing, but even still, she pulled off easily one of my favorite performances of the year,
Nice.
and there's a particular scene. Is not a spoiler, but for the folks at home, in a stairwell, that literally one of the most heartbreaking scenes all year for me.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so like there's so many good nominees this year. That's my number one that I'm gunning for, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a really stacked year. Like you made a really good point where it's not like a green year, yeah. It's not a green book year where I don't know, we're grasping at straws for really good nominations.
Because that's the thing. Even I like I mentioned with Oppenheimer, I have some issues with its structure and its length. I think that it's kind of two different movies that feel very different, duct
Hmm.
taped together. And I get why I believe Christopher Nolan made that choice, but I have some notes on how he did it that I feel like the, it loses some really relevant story momentum in that last hour. It's
Yeah.
a fully different film in terms of how it feels and what's going on, and I don't think it necessarily connects for me, but even still that just takes it down from what at first I thought might be his masterpiece to a great film. You know, there really isn't a dud in the bunch um of what finally panned out to the top 10.
Yeah. So you didn't like the creepy Killian Murphy sex scenes? Like that didn't add it didn't add to your
They
immersion
should have
in
had
this,
more. No,
really just going,
absolutely. Because you know what? Um, you gotta have explosions. No, I thought honestly, I thought it was definitely an artistic choice, but I feel like in context those scenes work. I am for your we'll talk about this at the end of the show, but you know, Mike, you've been on my podcast, our podcast, you know us for the deep dive
yeah.
often. You're a tremendous asset to the show. But for the folks at home that have not listened yet, I'm not gonna derail this too much. It's not a full pitch, but we're not shy about sexuality being embraced. Like we
Yeah.
did a love fest over Hellraiser because I think that that's a part of the human experience that really can belong and contribute towards a solid narrative. And so I was not one of those people that was thrown off by the sex scenes. Um, even if
Um,
they were done in ways that were a little not
yeah. I mean,
standard.
listen, yeah, like all like it's consensual, it's beautiful. That's we're
Exactly.
here for it, but where was the Einstein sex scene?
You know what? If anyone, I mean, in addition to being a genius and one of the most important scientists of all time, also a committed socialist. You know, he needs to get some.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say I could think of like some wildly inappropriate Einstein jokes, but anyways, I really hope that I can see the holdover being kind of an underdog situation.
Hmm.
I love that movie. Oh my gosh.
It's charming as hell. It really is a fun watch. I've watched it more than once, and just leaves a warm space in my being every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that like I don't know. I don't really see it like upsetting like where I think Flower Moon and Oppenheimer are gonna like it's like the 1-2 punch. They're gonna get a lot, I think.
Hmm.
That's kind of my so I guess I'm gonna start my predictions. Like I think those are the films that are gonna sweep. I think like the smart money is Oppenheimer for Best Picture.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, holy shit, if it was Barbie, like that would be the goop and gag of the century. I don't think it is, but I would fucking love it. And I just love the fact that it's at least like even nominated. But like, um, I don't know. I think that we're gonna see some like really interesting underdog things kind of take over.
I think so too.
Um, like I would love to see the holdover win in some big categories.
Well, I'll say that there are very passionate audiences that love Killers of the Flower Moon, that love the holdovers, that love Poor Things, obviously that love Barbie. So a lot of these films have their champions. I really loved Maestro. So
Oh, I
um
haven't seen that one either
there are
yet.
folks that really love Maestro. So like I mean obviously best picture of the year Godzilla minus one, but
Yeah.
second best picture of the year has 10 solid contenders.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. Like I might so if I had to like predict, I think like I would love to see Poor Things get some like really nice technicals. I
Hmm.
think like costume, was it nominated for costume?
I believe so. If not, it really should have been. It
Like
has, yeah, it was.
and just
Holly Waddington.
yeah, and it's just a visually stunning movie. Oh my God, I would love it if
Beautiful.
Emma Stone won for that, but like again, I think there's so many strong contenders for that
There are.
category. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's honestly really exciting because, like you were saying, this is like a really great fucking year for like
Hmm.
all the nominees. Like, yeah, there's not one clear front runner except, like I said, I think Oppenheimer is kind of the favorite, is kind of like the
Hmm.
Oscar darling this year.
I mean,
But
it definitely has the advantages of like Barbie, it did really well at the box office. A lot of people have seen it. It's been the consciousness for a long time. People really like Nolan. He's extremely talented, so that makes sense. And it's also there's some advantages to more mainstream film that's still very, very good because, I mean, lowest common denominator. It's really easy for people to like see its virtues, and it doesn't like
mhm,
Poor Things has a lot of people are very passionate about it because it's a wonderful film. It's imaginative, it's kind of horror, and it's kind of sexual, and it's lots of things. But it also is clearly more niche. They are not batting for,
yeah.
all demographics to be equal potentially into it. There were really strong artistic choices, but Oppenheimer is a really palatable film. It's very accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point. And I think that, I mean, again, Killers of the Flower Moon might be the only real competition, I would say, with Oppenheimer.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because, with Scorsese, it's not always a lock for the Academy. It's like,
Hmm.
and as much as like the Academy loves him, it's like, yeah, there has been years where it's just like they've been very fickle.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but um, the Barbie jokes are gonna be also probably pretty wild. Oh my gosh, I'm assuming you watched the Golden Globes.
Oh, I did.
Oh, it was so cringe. Oh my god.
I literally just made this face a lot because like how do what I want to know is how do you get that gig? Because I don't know anyone that wouldn't have done a better job. It's like I feel like
Yeah,
you should at least have seen or liked some of the movies.
yeah. It was. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, and I will say, like, it was cool to see like Greta Gerwig being a really good sport
She
about
was.
um and oh my gosh, it's just like let's really think about this for a second. She was a victim in House of the Devil, and now she's at the fucking
Hmm.
Oscars. Like, how
Yeah, for a Best
amazing is
Picture
that?
nominee.
Yeah,
I'll say this about Greta Gerwig. She is an extremely talented director. Her instincts are really good. There's a clear vision in every project she does. She doesn't just do the same thing over and over and over. They're all adaptable um, to whatever the material is. She's extremely talented, and
yeah,
so I I welcome her for her current and future success. I kind of have a feeling because one thing that voters like to do a lot, especially when there's a lot of talented people, it seems I've noticed this different years, and they like a lot of them, that they try and spread the love around a little bit, you know?
hmm,
And so I feel like because there were things other than Best Actress and Best Director to nominate Margot and Greta for, I feel like they're like, okay, well, that's covered in these tight categories, you know? Um, I can see that being probably the reason why they didn't make those particular categories.
yeah.
Uh,
The other thing that I'm not really hearing a lot about, but I think it is a huge snub, is Saltburn. Like,
yeah.
I mean, again, you know, we both agree this is such a great year for everything nominated. I don't necessarily feel like something needed to be like exercised in place of that,
Hmm.
but like I do really like Saltburn. I think that was such a, oh my god, it was transformative. It just leaves me speechless.
Hmm.
Um I fucking loved it. So I watched it at the draft house, and I was with me, my partner, and a friend of ours, and I was sitting right next to like this little old lady, which was amazing because if you know the movie, like the toilet or like the toilet, oh my god, the bathtub scene,
Yeah.
and then like the grave scene and stuff, and it was like
Hmm.
interesting kind of just glancing over to see like what my my movie partner was vibing with it.
Hmm.
I mean, she seemed to like it. I think she's a horny old broad. It's good for her.
You know what? Get it, lady. No, I'll say, folks, I don't know if you can even see this in the frame, but there's like an outline of a gold wing. I got a, I went to a Saltburn event and they handed out like wings, like Felix's wings,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's so cool.
horns, like Barry Keoghan's horns that he wore. And I literally have them. I'm not gonna turn the camera, but like I literally have them on my wall as a decoration because I love Saltburn.
That's so fucking
It's
cool.
it's so like the storytelling is really tight. The script is really good. There's some really bold choices. The grave scene was like a one take improv.
Yeah.
I found out. Yeah, I think it's really powerful storytelling, and but it's also really challenging. Uh, it's challenging in some ways that are kind of similar to how Poor Things is challenging, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like since such a Poor Things has the advantage of being centrally about like the empowerment of women, and
Yeah.
so even if it's making really bold choices, that speaks to a lot of people. It's very clear what's being said and what to make of it, right?
Mhm.
Versus Saltburn is kind of a war on the wealthy, if you will, like a no
Yeah.
holds barred, burn it all to the ground, and then build it back up again and take it.
Yeah.
Like,
Um, yeah, no, it's like, yeah, God. I got the I was so happy to get to interview Richard E. Grant for another movie he did earlier this year that was kind of similar, maybe in theme, called The Lesson, which was
mm,
um which was such a good movie, and it wasn't as good as Saltburn, but like he plays this like really arrogant, like upper class like prick, and it was so fun because he like really enjoys playing these kind of weird roles. And um so I mentioned this like really so bad it's good movie. Oh my god, why can't I think of it now? Hawk Hudson, or no, Hudson Hawk, sorry, from
mm,
1991. And it's this
mhm.
really, like, if you know, you know, but let me set the stage for you. Hudson Hawk is like this really bad 1991 action kind of comedy, and it was the one and only thing that Bruce Willis wrote and directed. Also, let me look. I know he at least wrote the screenplay. Yeah, so he wrote the screenplay, but somebody else directed it. But it's one of these like notoriously like really bad movies. Richard E. Grant plays this very over the top villain, and his henchwoman is Sandra Bernhardt. Like they're like in
Crazy.
cahoots. They're like this evil duo. And so when I started the interview, I was like, I'm really sorry, but like I have to say, like, I love Hudson Hawk. And like, he's been in Star Wars. He's been in like these like he was nominated for an Oscar not that long ago. So of course everybody's gonna talk about that, but I'm like, no, that's not where it's at. Like, I mean, yeah, you could talk about like Can You Forgive Me or Gosford Park, but I'm like, Hudson Hawk, let us not forget. And
Never.
so when I mentioned that, at first he was just like, uh-huh, yeah, like cool. So then of course we got into the lesson, and I said something about like, your process, and do you enjoy really getting to like play these really shitty sons of bitches and like these really awful characters. And he's like, oh yes, he's like, I love, blah blah. And then he's like, well, in Hudson Hawk, he's like, I just had a really great time playing a villain with Sandra Bernhardt, and he was talking about that. So he was like kind enough to be like, oh yeah, that movie that you like that is a choice, but he was really sweet. And um we were also promoting a book that he had a memoir that came out last year that I also got because fuck yeah, like I don't know. But anyways, this isn't the Richard E. Grant podcast, but it could
But it
be
could
'cause
be.
yes. God, I fucking love him. But
He was
yeah,
so good in Saltburn. He really was. Rosamund Pike was also really, really, really good.
oh my God. He was like my husband and I are like obsessed with her. Um she's so fucking amazing. And
So
like
I met her at the event that I got that at.
nice.
She was awesome. She was one of those people. It was the first time I ever got to meet her because I haven't actually got to interview her yet. But she's one of those people where like when she's talking to you, she's just talking to you.
Oh,
Like you
nice.
feel really validated and like laser focused. She's
Yeah.
very sweet. And I of course told her that after I mean she's in so many things that are wonderful. She's great in Wheel of Time, obviously great in Saltburn. But I mentioned that I was a little afraid to talk to her because I love Gone Girl and she's terrifying in Gone Girl. And I'm like, I have to tell you, I'm terrified of you. And she looks at me deadpan in the face and she's like, you should be. And I'm like, yes,
Oh,
legend,
I love that.
legendary.
Oh my God,
She's the
that is
best.
I fucking love that. I love when you can have these little moments with actors like that.
Mhm.
Like, um, oh my God, yeah, like that's so cool. Yes, I was very jealous of looking at all your amazing pictures from last year. Like, dude, killing it. That's so awesome. Um, like I liked the one with you and Jack Black.
Oh, my beard brother.
You guys are
The
twins.
dude. Yeah, we talked about how we might have common ancestors in somewhere along the chain. And
Yeah.
maybe we do. We have very
Uh,
similar energies, I think.
yeah, I could see him being so much fun to even just like have a brief sort of like moment with. That's so cool.
Yeah, he's another one of those folks that just like he's larger than life, and like when he's talking to you, it's
It's
it's like tunnel vision. It's really, really cool.
that's really sweet because like
Yeah.
I mean you hear about like people that have these egos and like you and I we know people that like have some undeserved egos, right? Like it's
Facts.
always the people that like have no business having an ego, but they do.
Yep. You're like, why are you this thing? Why are you like this?
Um,
Like,
and of course,
oh.
we won't name any names, but we
Mm-mm.
probably, I mean, I'm sure like we've probably talked about off the record. Yeah, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I like to focus on people that I've met that were just super sweet. Like, um, I got to interview, I think her name is Jane Champman. She was in Yellow Jackets.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
she was not like one of the main girls, but she has like one of these scenes that like still kind of lives in my head. Um, I'm like looking up her character name because it's like the end of the night and I'm sort of like I'm just getting over this shitty cold. So that's been really
The
fun. But
worst.
um she was like the super religious girl. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, I do. I do remember that.
Oh, I'm blanking on her name. So it was Laura Lee, and I got her last name completely wrong. Um, Widdip, I think is how you pronounce it. But so when I interviewed her for "It's a Wonderful Knife," which
Oh, fun.
was yeah, like it was kind of silly. I didn't love it, but I loved her in it. So at the end of the
If you
interview,
notice, I said it was fun. It wasn't, yeah, same
yeah,
page. Anyway.
But at the end of the interview, I was like, I know we're not, we're wrapped up, right? So you can kind of talk about a little bit of something else. And I was like, I just have to tell you that like your character, the way your character goes out in Yellow Jacket season one, like lives in my head. I still find myself thinking about it. And she just looks deadpan at me and was like, I get it. I get it. And it was just this cool moment where I was like, like I got to fangirl out a little bit, and like she was like, "Yeah, I understand that. I get that it was such a touchstone moment of that series where I'm just like, oh my god, it really was like crap your fucking pants."
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
um, but yeah, no, I love little moments like that where people are very sweet and humble. Um, and as you were saying, they really give you your attention, and it's not like a playing on their phone, yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
um
No, I know. Like in my experience, because I've interviewed all sorts of folks too. We've both done a lot. So you'll probably find this the same. The people in my experience that have made it the furthest, because at the end, like Hollywood is all about relationships, and you work with people because they're talented, but also because you can stand to be on 13-hour sets with them
yeah.
for a month and a half. Um, it kind of selects itself, like for the most part. So the people that have had the most success that I have talked to are also usually fairly down to earth, very approachable. And for some, they're superstars and it's like a persona and they're really good at the persona. But you can also tell some of them it's legit. Like they are just
Hmm.
solid, good, down to earth people. Um, and the ones that I've had the worst experiences with are the ones that are like in the middle tier,
Hmm. Yeah.
like you have all the ones that are like, you know, not vying for Oscars anytime soon, often, like in genre stuff, but they have their fan base and they love
uh,
their fan base and they're amazing. And the other folks at the top that by and large are pretty great, at least of the ones that I've met. But then it's that middle tier where they're like striving real hard and but they have just enough to prove that,
yeah,
in my experience, are the people that won't really give you the time of day unless they have to.
they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Big time.
Yeah. You know who I interviewed that was really nice? I want to preface it by saying he was really nice, but I I don't think I was intimidated, but he has such a large looming presence, and that is Tony Todd.
Oh my God, he's the best.
Yeah, he's super nice. Um, but it's also just like, because he has such a distinct voice and presence. It's not like I wasn't
Mhm.
nervous, but I was just kind of in awe. I was just
Yeah,
kind of like mesmerized. Like Matthew Lillard interviewing him, I get it. When
yeah.
you talk to him, he's a fucking superstar. He is so cool. I mean, butter wouldn't melt. Like
He's
it's
the best part of Hackers, and that movie has early career Angelina Jolie, and he's still the part that I remember.
oh my god. And he
Hack the
and
planet, man.
like, oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. Like he was really super nice. And so during my interview, um, we we were talking about he has a D&D show
Cool.
called Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill. And I actually talked to Jonah when I talked to Jonah Ray for Destroy All Neighbors. He was very pleasantly surprised that I had seen, that show, and he's been a guest twice. But um, like Matthew Lillard, like as soon as our interview started, he got up and walked away from the camera. But I mean, I didn't say anything, so I knew everything was fine. So like instead of letting it throw me, I like turned it into a little bit of a bit. So I was like, because he had his partner there too, and I was like, oh shit, I was like, well, I guess that's a wrap one, Matthew. I guess I pissed him off already, and obviously I'm very light-hearted about it, but like, and then he's like, yeah, he's like, that's the thing with Matthew Lillard, he's very skittish. You don't want to scare him, like spook him, like some creature or something. I don't know. It was funny though, but like, I don't know. I guess what made me think about it is like when you've done so many of these interviews, I mean, it probably takes a lot to throw you, right?
Oh yeah, uh my worst one. I actually know what my worst one is off the top of my head. I've had a lot of really good ones, and this was no fault of the talent at all.
Hmm.
Um, I was on like a press trip and I had to like zoom in from the press trip. So I literally was at dinner because it's like a different time zone. And I had to like walk away and do it. And then they made me wait for 30 minutes. And I
Hmm.
had like I originally had 6 minutes. It was for that like Mother Android movie on Hulu with
Oh
Chloe
yeah.
Grace Moretz
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
let me look this up real quick because I don't want to get his name wrong. And then Matson Tomlin. And for the record, they were both wonderful. But
Yeah.
then originally I was supposed to have like 6 minutes with one, 6 minutes with the other. And then they end up being paired, which is fine. Um, but then as I'm waiting here, I keep getting pushed down to the end of the thing. And then at the very last like 10 minutes, they're like, okay, well, we have to put you at the end. I'm like, fine. And they're like, well, and then instead of getting the ample time that I had and that I prepared for, and then I had the entire time, they gave me 3 minutes for both of them together. Um, you can't really even do one person
Yeah.
well in 3 minutes is
Yeah.
bullshit. But it was like a last minute change and I have them. And there's one rule that I've learned while interviewing. They will interrupt you, but they will never interrupt the talent ever.
Yeah.
So I both of them were wonderful. They were so great. They were really apologetic about the time stuff. It was all good. So what I did was because when you have 3 minutes for two people, it's like a Hail Mary, like you're just I'm gonna just throw something and hopefully something doesn't suck comes out of it. So I in my real quickly put together the things that I wanted to ask them in like one 3-part question, and I asked it to both of them.
Mm.
So they both answered, but they also played off each other. And it was like really charming. And then we're dialoguing with me, uh, just them being great. And then I got all my time back.
Nice. That's
So that
awesome.
was fun. But yeah, sometimes I've very rarely had like just a crew. I've had some that are just fine, but like uh it usually wasn't with the talent when I've had like a bad one, like a bad experience.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I know like with Luke Wilson, I mean it was really cool, but like they were like 4 minutes, and I mean, by goodness, they stuck you to that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, it was really cool. I mean, who doesn't like Luke Wilson? He's seems like a really fun guy. I like
Yeah.
Family Stone is like one of my all-time favorite holiday movies.
Nice. Yeah. Hmm.
Um
He's
and
he's
I
great in a bunch of Wes Anderson roles.
yeah, like he what him and his brother both started out like with Wes Anderson is like with
Hmm.
Bottle Rocket. So
Yep.
like very fucking cool. But like, yeah, very nice. But like, yeah, I mean, and then this was like something where it was like they had like a tech check all my equipment and stuff prior to this. And like when you have those really serious ones where they're like, all right, they'll put you in a room with a tech and then they'll put you in the waiting room and then the room next to that and then the talent, it's fucking wild. I don't know. I like stuff where like fuck, I got to talk to like Bill from Bill and Ted and fucking Jonah Ray from Mystery Science Theater and like
That rocks.
dude, they were so fucking nice. I had a VHS horror hoodie on, so they love that. And then of course they loved all the movies in the background and stuff. And yeah, so I will probably, I guess we'll wrap, but tell the people where can they find you? What have you been up to lately? Just promote the crap out of yourself.
Well, thank you kindly. Well, we're so I'm the producer and host of a podcast on monsters and monster movies called Humanoids
Yeah.
for the Deep Dive. The illustrious Mike Vaughn is one of our regular co-hosts, basically a permanent co-host. And
Can't get rid of
we are gearing up for our second season. Um very excited about that. We already got some cool stuff in the tank. And then other than that, I've been writing for Inverse some.
it.
I have a piece coming out in the next couple of days, actually, which is pretty exciting. And then yeah, I've basically just been busy doing a whole bunch of like FYC stuff in the last month. So, there's a little bit of a lull until the Oscars are over and then it's back to business. But in the meantime, you can check me out, Humanoids from the Deep Dive. You can find it on everywhere your podcasts are served. And check out my stuff at Inverse.
Yeah, and I will link all that stuff in the description, so it'll be really easy for y'all to find. And like, holy crap, I cannot stress enough that y'all need to check out everything this person puts out because it is fire. Um, it's always so much fun talking with you. And again,
Same.
I'm yeah, thank you. And you're such like I said, you're such an insider. You definitely have like walked the walk, talked the talk, all that awesome stuff. So it's so fun to like kiki and like talk about this crazy shit going on. And yeah, like I said, I will make sure that y'all can just find his socials and links and all that good stuff in the description. And thank you for hanging out with us. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. My channel is brand new, but we all got to start somewhere. And like just just do it. It feels good. Hit that subscribe button.
Do it. Hit the subscribe button. And
Do it.
then go to Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, subscribe to Humanoids to Deep Dive. And then
Yeah.
you won't need any other shows on YouTube or podcasts. You won't.
Yes, it's all you will ever need. You can hear us have a blast talking about monsters. Oh my gosh, I need to go back and listen to some of those episodes. They were so much fun. Um,
The best.
like, oh my gosh, like I was thinking about like with Luna and Father, and it's like an inside joke, but like um yeah, she's a mermaid now, and I love it. I love that.
Yeah, so here's how influential our little monster podcast is. One of our regular co-hosts, the beloved Luna, now is literally like she literally performs as a mermaid on the regular,
Yeah,
like and tours and everything,
it's
which is
amazing.
incredible. But she didn't originally do that when the show started. And it's all her. It's all her. But I'm saying, it's a good monster podcast when people literally become creatures
Yes.
as it goes along. She's the best. You're the best, Mike. Andre's the best.
Thank
Shout
you.
out. And this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. And yeah, so I will see y'all in the next video. Maybe I'll look a little less crazy pants. It's been a long day, but we're doing it. So see you in the next video.